Everyone, can two work together without an agreement? Every relationship involves at least two persons, and marriage is one of these peculiar relationships. Christian marriage involves two persons. Can these two persons really be married without them agreeing? No. So, what are those things that bring about the initial agreement and the continuation of the agreement that can make them work together? First thing I want us to look at this point in time is emotional preparedness. For two persons to work together in a relationship that will lead to marriage and family life, they must be emotionally prepared. To be emotionally prepared means that each party in the relationship, they understand where they are going to, that it's a relationship, that it's going to lead to marriage, and marriage will lead to family life. And so they are enthusiastic about this whole thing. Their emotions are ready to take up the responsibilities of marriage. Without this, it becomes a strain on one party that is emotionally prepared and the other party that is not emotionally prepared or motivated. Aside emotional preparedness, also is physical preparedness and material preparedness, and that brings about the age factor. So minors, persons under 16 may not be the best persons to marry because they are still young persons who do not fully understand what marriage is, and in some cases for the females, their bodies may not be able to truly carry the burden and the responsibilities of marriage. Physical preparedness also may also involve finance. So marriage involves a lot of things. In our culture here in Africa, it's also a marriage between not just the parties but their families. And even for the parties that are getting married, they need a physical space, they need a place they can call their home. So it's very important we have this. We have seen cases where persons married without having a place they can call their home independently, and so they marry into their family home, and the other party, the wife or the husband, is burdened by the in-laws and siblings. So it's very important also that if you're going to get married, as much as possible, you find a place that you can call your independent home, free from the influence of family ties and family members as much as possible. Aside that, we also have to have informed consent. Informed consent comes from knowledge. When we talk about informed consent, before you finally say I do in a relationship, how informed are you about the I do? The information I mean is how knowledgeable about the party you want to say I do, you want to work with. Sometimes persons just rush into marriage, but there's a common principle. You rush into a marriage, you rush out of a marriage. So informed consent means that you take your time to know the person beyond the physical attraction. You take time to know the person's history, the person's behavior, the person's lifestyle, his likes and his dislikes, and you ask yourself, based on these dislikes and the likes, based on these virtues and vices that is embedded in the other party, can I work with the person? Now, we have cases where persons, just because of infatuation or lust, they rush into a relationship. And when they are settled in the relationship, they begin to know the person. And when the relationship and marriage itself begins to inform them about the other party, they become very, very disgusted and say, I don't want again, I can't bear this. So to avoid that, I don't want again, I can't bear this, I never knew this about you. You take your time to avoid that. So, for instance, in my own diocese of Warri, you have to know the person you want to marry for at least 6 months before the marriage. And so, and even the 6 months is not really the best because chances are still there, but you have to inform the priest that we conduct the marriage 6 months prior to your marriage. So rushing the marriage, cutting corners is not the best because at the end of the day you might hit a rock. So informed consent. How informed are you about the person? Informed consent also can be achieved through self-disclosure. So in marriage, each party must be honest enough to disclose themselves to the other person. Let the person know you. Jesus loved us, knew us, and came to die for us. So when he was dying, he was never disappointed because he knew the kind of persons he was coming to die for. So let the person you want to walk this journey with know you. If he does not like your good and your bad, then he's not meant for you. If you hide your bad from the other person, you hide your vices from your partner, and he discovers it in marriage, at that point in time, real knowledge comes. And there can never be true love without real knowledge. I repeat, there can never be true love without real knowledge. So, informed consent. Be informed about yourself before you say the I do. Next thing I want to talk about is creative love. Now, creative love is that love that God showed us. God took dust and made human being. God in Jesus Christ knew that we are sinners, and yet he came to die for us. So creative love is that love that chooses to give the other person happiness, that chooses to bless the life of the other partner. So in marriage also, when partners walk this road, knowing that I am entering the relationship to bless my partner, my partner being your wife or your husband, then you have creative love. When one enters into marriage with the motivation that the person I want to marry will give me wealth, will give me happiness, will give me joy, most likely there is disappointment, because the only person you can really trust is yourself. The other person, you can never trust the persons, or the other person 100%. So creative love means that I am entering into this relationship, into this marriage, because I want to give, I want to bless, I want to enhance the life of the other of my wife or my husband, as the case may be. Now, aside that, also we must understand that creative love means that I want to be the person's companion all through life. And so marriage also is about companionship. You can't talk about marriage, you can't talk about agreeing together when you have not found companionship in the other person. Companionship is friendship. Companionship is the capacity to just be there without words, but yet the spirit is communicating. Companionship is the willingness to sit with the other person through life. Companionship is wanting to be there for the other person, there in good times and in bad times as friends. Aside that, also, let us look at the fact of loving the other person and loving the other person physically, emotionally, and sexually. You can't work with somebody in marriage that you're not sexually attracted to. Sexual attraction is also key. So it's not about the other thing, because marriage also, one of the greatest bond is sex. So you must be sexually attracted to the person you want to marry. The person you want to marry must be the man or the woman that you are willing to strip yourself and give yourself to in sex exclusively. Now, this is very important, otherwise the issue of adultery will come. And once adultery, or there's no lack of sexual satisfaction is there, because you are not motivated to give yourself to the person in marriage, in sex, you get very sad. And that is why we see people looking at, and the concept and the whole idea of infidelity is there. Again, faith plays a very, very important role. We come from different religious background. The Christian background, for instance, defines what marriage is for us. The Catholic background defines what marriage is for us. So to work effectively in marriage, you must also understand your faith perspective and respect it. Without respect and understanding your faith perspective and your religion, there might be crisis in the relationship. So what is your faith? What does your faith talk about relationship and marriage? You must understand that before you step into it. The Catholic Church, for instance, teaches that children, they are a gift in marriage. They are not a necessary part of marriage. Now, if one does not understand that love is companionship, love is self-giving, love is not about children, which is a faith issue now, one may enter into marriage, and if there are no kids in the marriage, say, no, this marriage is not working, I want to leave. So you must understand your faith, and you must understand that fertility, for instance, is a gift. Without children, a marriage and a friendship is still very, very wonderful. So how prepared are you for your marriage? Understand this and understand the depth of relationship, and you will have a very wonderful relationship and marriage. Marriage is paradise on earth when two partners work in agreement with God and with the true values that make marriage. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.